so this setup right here is like two things. It might be one of the best ways to experience handheld gaming right now, but it's also probably a really good way to speedrun yourself onto the Nintendo hit list. So a lot of you guys may remember that I pretty recently have done some videos on the Steam Deck where I've shared my admiration for it as a handheld, and I think everyone at this point has acknowledged Valve as an emerging player in this market. But still, the Switch has over 125 million units sold, which makes it the third most selling game console of all time. Nintendo's a Goliath in this space. All of their first-party games aren't published anywhere but their own platform, so that means they make all the revenue and they keep their user base fairly constricted within their walls. There's also no real incentive for them to reduce the price of their games because they know people will pay for it. Like I did, but the whole problem with this whole chain is that Nintendo doesn't really like you peeking over those walls, especially with devices like the Steam Deck now that offer you a subjectively way better way to experience their games. So today I get to do something I don't often get to do, which is tread water on a topic as hot as this one, because some of us just want to play our games at something higher than 30 FPS. So doesn't mean this video will get taken down. I don't know. Still gonna make it for you guys. So let's jump into it. Now, I want you to imagine, in theory, what a Switch Pro experience would have felt like if it came out this year. Maybe we would have seen 60 FPS with faster hardware, some battery life games, but realistically, how could we experience a game like Tears of the Kingdom on a handheld and push it to those specs without a Switch Pro? Your first thought might be emulation, good one, which can definitely be done and is being done on the Steam Deck, but the performance is kind of rough and doesn't really offer much above the native experience. And I think the same goes for a lot of AAA games on handhelds. You can't really push crazy settings because while the Steam Deck offers great hardware, you're still battling with efficiency, and destroying your battery life is never gonna be really a great answer. So the method I've been playing with recently is through Moonlight and Sunshine. And I landed on the conclusion that if you're gonna be doing any gaming at home on your Steam Deck and you already own a PC, it's probably worth considering to try it out. You make it a Stream Deck. It doesn't cost you any additional money to take advantage of hardware you already have, and the benefits can outweigh the expense of having to go through the setup process. And there's a couple reasons why it's not a bad idea. Number one, since the heavy lifting is being done on the actual PC, you don't need to worry about your room being super hot, especially with the summer coming up, since you play outside your room. Right off the top, one of the biggest ones for me is gonna be battery life. You're gonna hit significantly less charge cycles on the Steam Deck's battery while you're gaming at home. And your PC doesn't actually need to be some sort of powerhouse because remember, you're only rendering games at the Steam Deck's native resolution. And with that, we're pulling over 5 hours of battery life. There's no added fan noise or heat expenditure. Zelda's running at around 60 FPS pretty consistently, and honestly, probably the best way you can experience this game on a handheld right now. You put this in the hands of a lot of people, and I promise you, with a stable connection, you couldn't even tell you were streaming it. I think I actually mentioned it in the Steam Deck tips video from a couple weeks ago, so if you haven't checked that out, I have that linked in the description down below. I didn't really get into it much, but today, I'll show you how to do it. All right, so to start, head over to the link in the description, and this should bring you to the Sunshine GitHub page. Download the latest listed version under releases and scroll down to the assets section and download the installer.exe file. You can actually just run their installer. You don't have to mess with any of their default settings. And once that's installed, you should be prompted with their user guide. You can check this out if you want to learn more about how the whole app works, but from here, you can just go ahead and find your fresh new Sunshine app, and you can go ahead and launch it up. It should open a browser window letting you know that your connection isn't private. You can go ahead and bypass the connection, and it'll ask you to set a username and password for your hosting setup. Just keep it simple. Once you're done, hit login and retype in your information. And from here, you can get into the nitty-gritty for custom configurations, or you can leave it on the default and then install Moonlight on the deck itself. That's pretty much it for the Sunshine side of things. So now we can hop into the deck's desktop mode, head over to the Discover Store and type in Moonlight. And then once you find that, install the app. Once it's done downloading, add it to Steam in the Quick Start menu by right-clicking it and selecting Add to Steam. Now you should be able to find Moonlight under the non-Steam games section of the library, and you can actually just launch it straight from there. Also, pro tip, once you're in the actual app, head over to the gear icon in the top right, and you can adjust all the settings right from here. I normally set the resolution to 1280 by 800, so you're matching the Steam Deck's native resolution, and then you can head over to the Windows display settings and do the same for your primary display. You can adjust the bitrate according to your Wi-Fi speed. I normally start at 45 to 50 megabits per second, and I would also consider swapping A and B and the X and Y buttons if you plan on doing any sort of Nintendo emulation. I'm also going to enable VSync and frame pacing and set the UI display mode to full screen. It's also pretty easy to connect Moonlight to Sunshine. Once you hit the locked PC launcher, it'll give you a code, and then you can take that and type it into the Sunshine pin section. You can mess around with all the settings and tweak it to the point where you get your games running smoothly, but your mileage may vary on what works for you. And there you go. Now, the question of what exactly defines a proper ethical way to play your own Nintendo games on the Steam Deck always seems to be in this like gray zone. It's like Nintendo fans have to somehow feel bad about playing their legally purchased games on better hardware. So that's a frustrating thing. It's crazy that this is such a big deal, that this has to be such a hot topic, but that's how the world is sometimes. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you liked it, comment if you loved it, and get subbed if you want to see all the good stuff that's coming up. A huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.